Woo! Yeah, GodFall. All right, folks, what do we have today? My first video in a few weeks. So sorry to be gone from this, folks. I have gone on a business trip. I am actually coming to you from a hotel room right now. It took me a little while to get a hold of a laptop that would allow me to produce some content. So here we go. Double primary tower exclusive build. This is a physical build and it is a beast. I love how it works and how it worked out for my setup. Let me tell you what's going on here. We have a sword and it works out as a defensive weapon and a way to gain initiative in every encounter you get. And after you have gained said initiative and you have used up your defense, you can swap over having built up overhealth into a weapon that does 63% more damage when you are full health. This thing is a beast. I really enjoy it. Let's not waste any more time. Let me tell you all about it by showing you the gear and the augments. All right. So what do we got here? Our first tower exclusive, a double primary Sword of Dominance, legendary long sword. The double primary is a random set of primaries. These are very specific builds, and if you are lucky enough to get these, give these builds a try out. First primary is gain 15% Northern Technique charge whenever you hit an enemy with your Southern Technique. The next one of my favorites. Now, don't get these confused, folks. There are two types of Blessing of Luck. One gives more crit than the other, that one being the Greater Blessing of Luck. Second primary on this is gain the Greater Blessing of Luck whenever you inflict bleed. Very nice. Some of you will see that those primaries are very familiar. Next on my secondaries, I went for weak point damage. Next, critical hit damage, and then added some critical hit chance there. Second double primary weapon that goes with this set and this build is Sunflare Destiny, with the double primaries being gain 151 overhealth whenever you perform a death blow. I do a lot of death blows with these. These help me stay at 100% health by keeping my overhealth, shielding my full health. Next up, 63% weapon damage while you are at full health. So the tactic in this is to fight with the longsword defensively with the mobility and the iframes the longsword provides, and then when you have your attacks of opportunities and your openings that allow you to kick out that big damage, you swap over to this when you have full health and you dish 63% more damage than you normally would. Okay, on my secondaries, I went with adding to rampage bonus damage because when I'm in the tower, I get to rampage quick, and I like the bonus that comes with that. Added some crit hit chance. Already have that great 10% soul shatter buildup. That's a beauty. Wouldn't give that up. Next up, we have the Lion Talisman. Whenever you perform a critical hit, gain X% weapon technique damage, or weapon technique charge, and 29% weapon technique charge speed for 10 seconds. I added more weak point damage. I got some weapon technique damage on this, some soul shatter buildup, all great stuff there. And then I went with adding some chance to inflict ailments because I get that Greater Blessing of Luck when I inflict my bleed. Next up is the Mark of the Duelist. Restored 94 health whenever you perform a critical hit. I'm all about that resiliency. Love getting those heals. Love getting that overheal. So this is a great item for anyone, in my opinion. Here I put 12% crit hit chance, added Archon Fury charge speed, added to the duration of Archon Fury, and we got some critical hit damage to boot. Next up, to help us keep that 100% health that we need so much from using the Sunflare Destiny, we have the Zwee's Embrace. Whenever you hit a weak point, gain X amount, in this case 216 overhealth, and your overhealth will no longer degenerate. What we got on here is air resistance. Gotta love that stuff for when we have to stand or accidentally stand in that shock puddle or that shock ball. You know what I'm talking about if you've been through it. It's not fun, it's not cool, it's annoying. Next up is the damage to bleeding enemies. This was a bonus. I flat out go for the core damage before I go for the ailment damage with builds that are not focused on applying ailment solely. So what did I do? I got 27% physical damage. I added some more resistances because I like to have those defenses when I go through the tower. Next up is whenever you hit a weak point, gain 2% Archon Fury charge and 38% Archon Fury charge speed for 10 seconds. This is the Ancestral ban. Had a little bonus damage here, shield damage. I do use my shield a lot. Not exactly the main stat I wanted to go for, but it's good enough for me. 24% Archon Fury damage. That is awesome because I do go into Archon Fury quite a bit. I am an advocate for building builds that charge Archon Fury up quick. Archon Fury is badass. Do not skip out on it. 13% Archon Fury speed and another 24% Archon Fury damage on top of that to boot. Next up, we have the Plague Pennant because I want to inflict more ailments when I drop that banner because I want that greater blessing of luck. I don't need too much more crit hit chance. I'm critting enough, but I am creating plenty of critical hit damage with this banner with a total of 62% added critical hit damage on top of the 60% damage for each ailment on the enemy I get from its primary. This thing is a killer. It is a killer. Add that 5% critical hit chance in with 21% weak point damage, making for a awesome banner overall. Next up is the Archons tier, 34% critical hit chance, 145 critical hit damage. What did we get on this one? We had 20% added weapon technique damage, 40% breach because I like to breach a lot. There's a lot of shield heavy mobs in the tower and I like to shatter them and destroy them and breach them. And in order to do that with the weapons I got, you got to add a little bit of breach. So when I'm in a clutch situation and I need to pop some health, that added breach gets to be pretty fun. Next up, 10% soul shatter buildup. And then I added another 25% critical hit damage, bringing this item up to 170% critical hit damage upon use. 10 seconds of that, ooh man, it fires up and it destroys the enemies. It's wonderful, folks. All right, moving on to the augments. We got the Loyalty Augment. Again, I want to charge up that Archon Fury. It's the way I like to play. Invincibility while you're in Fury, higher damage, utility, special little flavors that come with the Valor plates depending on what Valor plate you get. In my case, I went with the Silver Mane because I like to use my weapon technique abilities. It is fun and they charge quick when I'm in Archon Fury. It is fun. It is fun. All right, what do we have for stats? Added more weak point damage because when I start hitting those weak points, I love seeing the big numbers pop out there. It is very cool. And if you don't utilize weak point damage, you don't utilize critical hit damage, you're losing out on things that you're going to have anyways. Next up, another 13% to Rampage bonus damage. Great for me. Added Vitality because I do not like to be glass. I like to be tough as nails. Add that Vitality where I can. Next is Absorption. Gain 50% Archon Fury charge for 10 seconds whenever you hit a weak point. Well, I'm going to be hitting those weak points, so I add more weak point damage. Add more Vitality. I do not want to get hit and killed easily, so we add Vitality. Here's one that is famous or infamous, one that is very well known, the Surety Augment. Whenever you hit an enemy with your Northern Technique, expose the enemy's weak points and deal 98% weak point damage the next time you hit a weak point. Ooh, man, those weak points are just going to start hitting hard. 46% weak point damage to add to that. Added the longsword damage. I mean, hey, I've got it anyways. Love the physical damage that came with this. And then we got another 23% weapon technique damage on top of that. I did not get the base physical for a optional when I was enhancing, or I would have taken that if you are wondering that question. What do we got next? We got gain the blessing of power whenever you perform a critical hit. Love bumping that base damage up. Blessing of Power is going to bump that base damage up. Then we have the secondary, another 20% longsword damage. So even if I'm not full and I'm on the longsword and I'm defending, I am still kicking out the damage. Even though I'm not in my highest damage weapon, the Sunflare Destiny, I'm kicking out that damage. Another 14% rampage bonus damage, another 22% weapon technique damage on top of that to boot. Next, I added breath, 24%, the highest you can get, air resistance, because again, like I said before, I find myself standing in shock one way or another as I'm climbing the tower, so I defend against it. Then we have Divine Conduit. Gain 50% Archon Fury charge speed for 10 seconds whenever you are hit. Archon Fury charge, Archon Fury, love it. Gonna have some more physical damage. Want to bump that base damage up because it affects everything from the bottom up. Next we have Archon Fury damage. That was the best one that I got with the available optional, so I took it. When I'm going into Archon, I am trashing mobs. It is fun. Okay, now we have the Augment Focus. Gain overhealth whenever you perform a critical hit. Added more weak point damage, added more vitality because, again, I don't want to be glass. I want to be able to take those hits. You'll find as you ascend the tower and you go higher and higher, you're going to be getting hit. And those hits are not going to be light hits. They are not to be taken lightly. Take them seriously. Get that vitality in. Next up, the Lion's Pride. Gain overhealth whenever you defeat an enemy. What did I take? Bumping that base damage because, again, damage coming from the bottom up. It's a great gain. Added resistances. That was the option that I had for this one. Took it. I like the defense. Enough said. After that, last but not least, I love this one because as soon as I pop Archon Fury, if I'm climbing the tower and I'm not on a boss, some mobs are going to die because this thing dishes out 33 to 35,000 damage base. That's not even including, again, I say this, it's not even including the modifiers. Not even including the modifiers to physical damage this build has. So, again, what do we have? Whenever you activate Archon Fury, shoot up to 3 projectiles that each deal, in this case, 11,117 physical damage to an enemy. Multiply that by 3, then add the physical damage modifiers, and you are just trashing mobs. You are trashing them when you activate Archon. It is beautiful. So what do we have? We have 30% physical damage, 29% damage to bleeding enemies, just a little bonus there, and we add some more base damage because we want that damage coming from the bottom up. This is not an ailment build, but it does benefit from the ailments, so we go bottom up on this baby. Yes! Okay, a little bit about the play style for this build. It is pretty simple and straightforward. Use the longsword, use the iframes that the northern technique gives you. Use the southern technique because it's going to build up more northern technique. Get that overhealth on, pop your banner, fill up that overhealth, and swap over to Sunflare Destiny and just drill your opponents. Killing them with 63% more damage than you normally have. That thing just wrecks. Let me show you some gameplay. Let me show you what it's all about. Just want to show you this one Macros Exalted fight. I feel like it should be enough to convince you this build is very strong. Take a look at the divinations here. Don't have a lot that adds to my damage. The 23% critical hit to your northern technique. I've already got plenty of critical hit on this build, so it's not like it's doing a lot for me. 60% fire damage does nothing for me. These are physical weapons, so it does nothing for the damage. And the best one out of the 3 that I got from this map run was the 4% Archon Fury charge whenever you hit a weak point. You will see here towards the end of the fight, I hit macros for 1 million plus damage. I'll highlight it in the screen. I'm telling you folks, this build wrecks. It is awesome. I don't feel like you need to see it on any other bosses. I don't feel like you need to see it at level 50 on the tower. It's got overhealth built into it. It is sturdy, it hits like a truck, and it's got plenty of utility defensive mechanisms to carry you through your fights. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know in the comments below. And if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe. And again, I apologize, I've been gone for too long, but I had some equipment limitations and I had to go on a business trip. But I'm back. It's going to take me a little while to upload these, but I'm still here with you. Have a good one. Goodbye.